Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here yet again. This is going to be a pretty interesting week for new releases in cinema. There's A Quiet Place Day 1. I'm also interested in seeing that Kevin Costner Horizon Part 1, another 3-hour epic. But the film that's interested me the most, and frankly, it is one of my most anticipated films of 2024, that would be Kinds of Kindness, the latest film from Yorgos Lanthimos. Of course, he is hot off the heels of Poor Things, which came out in December of 2023. So it feels like it was just yesterday that we just discovered that madhouse of a film. And this latest film, Kinds of Kindness, marks a re-collaboration with one of his old co-writing, screenwriting buddies, who goes by the name of Eftimis Philippou. Previously, they've collaborated on Alps, Dogtooth, and on his more American films, The Lobster and Sacred Deer, and now, finally, Kinds of Kindness. And indeed, this film harkens back to some of his earlier, more experimental stuff. Boy, I can only imagine what those films were like, because this film was, wow. I don't know what I expected going to this film, but what I got was definitely not at all, like not even one iota of what it was I'm expecting. It literally was just one giant what the fuck festival. I mean, how could have I possibly ever known what this film was going to be? It is bewildering to infinity and beyond. So as always, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory as I always do in these YouTube videos, but I guess I should warn you that this is not a relaxing film. If you don't like being uncomfortable, maybe this is not the film for you, and I do genuinely mean that. Poor Things, for example, it caused quite a controversy, and it is a wild, crazy film, granted. In comparison, that film is lukewarm to Kinds of Kindness. Whereas Poor Things was indeed a crazy film, there was this note of positivity, this sense of growth and accomplishment by the end of it. Kinds of Kindness is just all kinds of disturbing. There's this very sinister quality pretty much underlining everything in this film. And I remember feeling as I was watching this film that there's this damn near occult-like ambience surrounding the film, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense. There literally is a cult-like aspect integrated into the storyline in the last chapter of the film. And while we are talking about ambience, the soundtrack itself just moves mountains in that regard. Even though it is quite minimalistic with these very, I don't want to call them simple piano notes, but it does have this very stripped down quality, though that is not a detriment to it. It achieves incredible effect with its piano tunes, and then further on in these very key moments in the narrative, there's this very occult-like choir vibe that just overcharges the atmosphere in the cinema. It was a lot to process at the moment, but it was supremely well crafted. And though the sound was fantastic, I love how the sounds also plays a key role into the ambience of the film, and how it just feeds into the tension, and at times the tension reaches such a gigantic boiling point that it's almost unbearable. So yeah, this film is basically this all-you-can-eat buffet of uncomfortable elements, just one after another. A lot of these uncomfortable feelings come from being exposed to manipulation, abuse, violence, which is quite graphic in shocking ways, and of course a very overt sexuality about the film, which is both awkward and absurd, which might not come as a surprise, seeing that this is a Yorgos Lanthimos film after all. Yeah, all those elements to just remind you of a simple warning that this is a film that is not for the faint of heart. I don't know for who this film is, I guess psychopaths like me, but your average Joe probably will not vibe with this at all. And as if all these painful elements weren't already enough for the film, there's also this very surreal and dreamlike quality that just surrounds every aspect of Kinds of Kindness. Perhaps me having grown up on David Lynch films helps me just ease into the ambience and tone of this film. I do think that some of the dialogue delivery for a lot of people it might just be a little too obtuse, but as far as I'm concerned, I think this film totally finds its place in this very surreal experimental lane of cinema. Once again, not a film for everyone. The characters are all quite bizarre in every way, shape, or form, whichever way you look at it. So I guess now would be a good time to bring up the structure of the film. It is divided into 3 main acts. There are 3 different chapters that are each of their own contained storyline. I won't say that they don't connect to each other, because I do think that there is this macro narrative that kind of weaves in through the 3 of them. What that is will take some serious mental gymnastics. I'm not saying by any means that I have figured it all out. Far from it. In fact, I was supposed to record this review a couple days ago just after having seen the film, but I literally needed a minute or 2 or then some. In any case, each act is their own individual storyline. I do think that the first one is the one that resonates the strongest with me, though that's not to say the second and third act are bad. They each have their own wild elements and twists. Frankly, any one of these chapters, if that's all we got from this film, on its own would have already been way too much. But the fact that we get to have the 3 of them one after another and then just shuffle the entire cast, because the cast comes back in each of these 3 acts, just different characters and different scenarios. So it's all very disorienting and all too much all at the same time. And as far as the cast goes, it is an A-tier cast, and it's awesome to see the kind of range they all get to explore, since they get to play 3 different characters basically in each of their storylines, and they're all quite colorful and super weird. Willem Dafoe is perhaps the only one who has a similar character archetype throughout the 3 of them. He always plays this boss-like, father-like figure in each of these storylines. I won't go into further detail into his characters, but I will say that it is lovely to see Willem Dafoe just year after year just absolutely slaying it. I can't wait to see him later this year in Nosferatu, but that's besides the point. Emma Stone, of course, makes a reappearance in yet another Yorgos Lanthimos film after winning her Oscar not too long ago for Poor Things, and she does a wonderful job here, though this isn't quite the standout highlight performance that you will not be able to forget. Personally, I think Jesse Plemons is the one that sticks out the most in this film, especially in the first act. That part really is my personal favorite of the 3. And actually, going into this film, I totally forgot that Jesse Plemons at the Cannes Film Festival won the award for Best Actor, which now, having seen the film, I totally get it. It was a great performance, and I could totally see him getting an Oscar nomination later on for this film. The performance really is that great. But seriously, the whole cast just did a wonderful job with the material at hand, as crazy as it may be. Though putting aside the story and characters for a brief moment, I absolutely love the art direction. The set design is detailed and layered, and I just love how it feeds into the cinematography. Honestly, there's some very, very strong composition work at hand here. I was having a time in my life just drinking in some of the shots that the film presents you with. And I always like to shout out films that use color to great effect, not just to create a pretty aesthetic picture, but also to use it as a narrative and cinematography tool that helps feed into the tone and atmosphere. So a little round of applause for that. And at this point, I don't know what more to say without going into overt spoiler territory. Honestly, if you think you can stomach this film, go check it out for yourselves and make up your own damn minds. Frankly, I'm still processing this film, and I imagine that I will continue to be doing that for quite a while. So would I recommend this film? It depends. If this is an art house crowd we're talking about, yeah, totally go check it out. Knock yourselves out. But if we're talking about average Joes, you might want to avoid this film. It is a supremely uncomfortable and disturbing watch. But as far as I'm concerned, I totally vibe with this. I think this is a solid 8.5 out of 10. I could see myself giving it a higher score at a future date with repeated viewings and with more time to reflect on the film and with discussion with friends, of course. I mean, there's so many things that can be said about the film, but I guess I could just sum it down to it is impossible not to feel strongly about this film, either in the positive or negative, which I guess in a way speaks volumes about the power of the film. I do think that it is quite a tour de force of artistic expression in film, even if some people will probably hate it. And I also do want to reiterate that it's kind of amazing to get slammed by this nearly 3-hour film so soon after this phenomenal Poor Things that just came out really not that long ago. And we're getting yet another Yorgos film in 2025, currently titled Bugonia. Damn, what a weird and prolific filmmaker. And as a final comment around my cinema experience of this film, it was exciting as always to see a full house at the cinema on opening night, and most of the crowd was just laughing their ass off at the absurdity, which honestly is probably a healthy reaction to what is going on. Myself personally, I was just too flabbergasted and just dumbfounded, literally jaw ajar, hitting the floor, just what is happening here? I cannot believe what I am seeing here. Yeah, go check it out for yourselves, make up your own damn minds, and let me know what you think about it. I hope it won't be too traumatizing for some of you. Anyways, with all that being said, as always, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.